Hello, this is Franco Cabral broadcasting from the Honest Liar podcast, a conversation around finding the inner liar within all of us and leveraging the truth to create expansion across all areas of your life. Today's topic is intentions. That's nice. So I had an intention this morning of having a peaceful Sunday. Had a long week with many challenges. I even recorded a podcast about just how powerful I felt from handling all the challenges this week. So you might have listened to that. Had the whole DMV fiasco and somebody getting my car impounded. But overall, it's just been a long week. And I had an intention when I woke up this morning that I wanted to have a nice, peaceful Sunday. So I kept focusing on peace, tranquility, no matter what was happening. My kids were being rowdy, just kept going back to the center of peace. And I communicated with my wife also that I just wanted to have a peaceful Sunday. On the way back from a trip to Boston to visit some friends, my son was being a 2-year-old, and he was just, being loud and singing, and I could see my wife getting more and more irritated as the moments were going on. And in my mind, he wasn't bothering me. He wasn't fazing me. Not to say that I haven't felt exactly the way that my wife is feeling in this moment as I see her getting more and more agitated. But something weird was happening to me. I wasn't agitated about my son because in my mind I said, I'm going to be peaceful, and today's going to be a day of peace. So nobody's going to disturb that peace. Not my son. He's just being a 2-year-old. And I was just in a strong frame. But what I wasn't realizing is that as more time went on, my wife was starting to irritate me because of the way she was choosing to respond to my son. And it was so apparent from the outside looking in that she was getting all bent out of shape because my son was being a 2-year-old. I didn't think about it as I was seeing it happen from the frame of, hey, I've been her and I understand exactly where she's at. I was seeing it from the lens of, I want to have peace. Why can't my wife also want to have peace? And why can't she deal with my son from a peaceful state of mind? And there was my peace. My peace was slowly disappearing, and I was starting to get triggered and irritated by my wife, which is why when I got home, I was frustrated, and I just said, you know what, I need to go for a hike. We hadn't seen the dogs anyways. They weren't with us this weekend. So I figured it was a good excuse. Let me go on a hike with them, get them out of the house. Also, I hadn't done a sweat for the day, so I'm going to go on this hike. Really, what I meant was I need some space, and I need to gain some clarity on why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling and what exactly is going on for me in this current moment. So while on this hike, I did my spark, which is my daily reflection. And it started out with, my wife is fucking with my peace, because that's the place that most of these, reflections start with. It's usually what's happening to me or what's, triggering me in this moment. And it's the distortion or the story that I start with, which is my wife is fucking with my peace. Now, the spark is a tricky but also beautiful thing because it puts my ego in check and allows me to work my ego from a few different angles. And the first, obviously, is this is how I'm feeling. My wife is fucking with my peace. So I go through the process of proving that to be true, which that's very easy to be true because that's exactly how I'm feeling. Now, when I flip the story, the opposite is the story that I also have to prove as part of this process. And when I started to prove that part, which is my wife is not fucking with my peace, then I started to get a little bit more self-reflective and get a slightly more elevated view. And I started to prove, well, my wife is not fucking with my peace, then who is in my mind? And that's when it started to hit me that I was the one that was fucking with my peace because I was choosing to allow the way that my wife was responding to my son trigger me. I was also choosing not to talk to my wife about it. Therefore, I was choosing to feel how I was feeling. And then the beautiful one was when the me story. So, part of the process of the spark is I have to convert that story about somebody else to myself, which was, again, initial story was my wife is fucking with my peace. Then now the me story is Franco is fucking with my peace. And then I had to prove that to be true. And that's when it really solidified for me that I was creating this disturbance of my peace. And it's a very powerful thing when you start to think about it, because I am naturally peaceful. We are naturally peaceful by nature. And this is something I've been talking about lately a lot because I'm learning about it in my Buddhist classes. But if I'm naturally peaceful and sometimes I become disturbed, or that peace gets distorted, or delusions, as they call them in Buddhism, then who's creating the delusions and the distortions is what I started to think. And in this case, obviously, Franco is, because Franco was allowing himself to be disturbed from his peace. So when I finally figured that out, I had the end result, which was to realize that I haven't even asked my wife if she is not peaceful, even though I had a feeling she was pretty irritated, but I still was just assuming. It was just how I was experiencing her, and not sure if that actually was the case. And my intention of peace wasn't her intention of peace, so why would I be getting upset with her if she was not peaceful? Although, obviously, it's my wife, and I want her to be happy and peaceful. But I was just focused on my intention, which is for me to have peace. So my action out of this spark was to just have a conversation with my wife and see how she's doing and check on her. And it was obviously a very different experience than what I thought. And she started to communicate, some of the things that were obvious, like my son was triggering her and she was frustrated because she just wasn't in a good space. And my son was just being a 2-year-old on a 3-hour drive. He was uncomfortable, wanted to get out. But there was other things behind it that she was going through. She had a hectic week this week. She was feeling a little overwhelmed, having a little Sunday blues. So it created the opportunity for me to connect with her and to really just be there for her and help her, find some peace for herself, which in turn also helped me create some peace for myself. So the intention of peace was the right idea for me today. I definitely wanted to have peace, but intention is just a start. At the end of the day, we create an intention, it opens up our heart to what we want, but it's up to us to protect it. So I created an intention for peace, but I didn't protect myself from myself, ironically. So my ask of you to think about is, where in your world are you creating intentions and saying, this is what I want to do, but then you're not protecting yourself from yourself? Because again, you are the only person that can disturb the peace that exists in your world, which is beautiful and also kind of shitty, because you're 100% responsible for all of the fruit that exists in your life. But it's also beautiful because you're 100% responsible for the change that you'd like to see. So that's the message for today. As always, thank you for tuning in to the Honest Liar podcast, conversation around finding the inner liar within all of us and leveraging the truth to create expansion across all areas of your life. I am hiking, gonna get after it for the rest of the hike. I appreciate you listening today. Please rate and review the show and share this with somebody you think would find value in it. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.